There are no questions that are directed to any specific candidate. These are questions in general. After the drawing of the straws, it's my pleasure to bring up to you first our Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney.
Well, good morning. It's wonderful to be with you all again. I think this is my fourth appearance in the last 18 months or so before the Chamber. It's always a pleasure to be here. I want to take 30 seconds of my time just to say, those of us in public service, it's called public service. Our service is an echo of people who serve our country in the military and who put their lives on the line, but it's public service. But no government official, no politician in this room is ever going to take the place of somebody in a community stepping up and doing the work that happens every day in communities like Poughkeepsie and in Dutchess County, who steps over and coaches the Little League team, who comes forward and says, I'm willing to help in the community. And for years, that man, Charlie North, has been a leader in this community and in the business community, and we want to recognize him. I know we're entering the season of celebrating and roasting Charlie North, but it's an honor to share the podium with you, sir, and thank you for all you've done for so many years. And at the risk of violating some rules, I want you to know we brought you something to thank you for all you've done. Thank you so much. Thank you, Charlie. And I also want to thank Congresswoman Hayworth for appearing with me again. We've done this before, but it is wonderful to see her again. And I have to tell you, you hear a lot of things in politics that's critical, and there's a lot of negative stuff in politics. I do want you to know, anybody who has done the work that Nan Hayworth and I have done, understand that this is a hard job, and it's hard on your families, and it's hard on the people who support you and who care about you. And so I want to salute her for having the commitment to do this again, and I look forward to a spirited debate on the issues and putting that choice to the voters again. So thank you for being here with me. Now listen, 2 years ago I stood before you and said, give me your voice and give me your vote. I'll go to Washington and I will work every day to get results for you. And the number one thing I heard from all of you was, stop this fighting, stop this bickering, stop this nonsense. Don't go down there and go on cable TV and yell at somebody and throw a pot. Don't go down there and just be part of the problem. Go down and get results for us. And I believe I am accountable to you. You're the boss. You pay the bills. This is a job interview, first and foremost. We work for you. And you gave me a 2-year contract and it's up for renewal. So what have I been doing with the time you gave me? Well, I want to tell you, first and foremost, in the last 18, 20 months, we've helped almost 2,000 individuals who have come to my office for help, one at a time. About 600 of those folks are veterans. We have returned about $3 million to those 2,000 individuals and families, one at a time. That means that Ed Cactus is still in his house after fighting 800 days to get his disability claim heard by the VA. That means a guy named Jim here in Dutchess County who called my office and said, I'm going to kill myself. I've been waiting 4 years to get my claim heard, is getting the help he needs and has the benefits he earned. We have passed 13 bills through the House of Representatives. I want to say that again. People think that's a joke. I've passed 13 bills through the House of Representatives. You hear all this stuff about gridlock and dysfunction. We've got 3 bills passed through the House that have also passed the Senate that have been signed into law by the President. And we will keep doing this work because we're focused on getting bipartisan results. So I've partnered with Congressman Chris Gibson to the north of me, reached across the aisle with people like Marcus Molinaro, your county executive, to get things done because it's cooperation that works in your business. It's cooperation that works in Congress. You know, I came to you 2 years ago and said, I don't come from a political family. I don't come from money. My old man ran an insurance agency. He started it in a one-room office above the town library in the little town I grew up in. My mom typed the letters at the front desk. Jim Maloney put a phone in the basement so that he could get up from his chair and go down the stairs. I still see him doing it at 11 o'clock at night if you called because you had a claim on your insurance policy. And you would think, my God, Jim Maloney's still at the office. That's what small business owners do. They figure out a way to get the job done. And when I left the White House after working for Bill Clinton, first of all, that's the only reason I got to college and got to work in the White House for Bill Clinton was there was a guy running a small business. I ran my own business. I know how hard it is to make a payroll. I know how hard it is to create jobs, to provide benefits, to make a good product, to make, in my case, software, to get customers and clients and to service them well. I've done that. We created hundreds of jobs in my business. And I want you to know that I think government should run more like a business. It should run more like a business because if it ran like a business, first of all, it wouldn't waste all the money it wastes. And secondly, it would treat you like customers instead of treating you like part of the problem sometimes. So I look forward to having a debate this morning on ways to move our region forward. There's a lot of good work we've started, and I want to keep doing this job for all of you. And I want to thank my opponent for being here with me again this morning. And I want to make a commitment during the course of this race that we will stay on the issues, and we will keep this focused on ideas. And we'll keep it focused on ways that all of you can get better results from the Congress you're paying for. Thank you very much. Look forward to this.
Ladies and gentlemen, former Congresswoman Dr. Nan Hayworth.
Well, thank you, Charlie, and I realize that perhaps Hound Dog is a new moniker for you, but I'd like to suggest that we refer to you as our North Star. As you head toward your retirement, leaving very big shoes to fill. And before I forget, did everybody enjoy breakfast this morning? Yes. It's delicious. Can we have a round of applause for Maureen Kangas and her team here at the Dutchess brand? This is a local business that comes through for us every time. I'd like to thank our chamber board as well and our esteemed chairman, Lori Brockville. Thank you for your service here. And I'd like to thank every single member who is here today. And thanks, yes, to Congressman Maloney for your service and for your presence today. I'm very appreciative. And I hope you'll bear with me because I've contracted a bit of laryngitis. So if I go into a coughing fit, you'll understand why. It's not because I'm trying to avoid a question. But you know, I'm looking around this room, and it is wonderful to see so many friends and neighbors here. We are gathered here, we do the work we do because we care deeply about our Hudson Valley. And over the past few years, we've seen some great things here. We think about our Queen City with the restaurant revival we see going on. It's wonderful. We see our agricultural startups. We see the strength of Marist College's growth under President Murray. We see that our citizens and neighbors here step up time and time again for our nonprofits to support them because they do great work despite a bad economy. We have so many strengths. Our landscape, our Hudson River, and our people who are strong and resilient and ready to work and work harder to make this Hudson Valley even better. And we know, too, that our strength and resilience are being sorely tested by the burdens of years of bad policy coming out of Washington. So I'm running to serve you in Congress. I'm running to serve you again, and I am privileged to be running with the endorsement of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce because I know, as you do, that we can do so much better, and we deserve to do better. So I'm running to do my utmost for you as a doctor who cared for patients in the Hudson Valley for nearly 20 years. As a small businesswoman, I had to start my practice and grow it from scratch. I'm the mom of 2 sons who are proud alumni of our local high school, Fox Lane in Bedford, and they're embarking on their adult lives. And I'm a neighbor who cherishes this place that I've called home for over 30 years. Now, as a doctor, I hear stories from you about how the Affordable Care Act has been anything but that, and we all know these stories as employers, as workers, as people who suffer from high insurance premiums that are skyrocketing upwards, folks who have lost their insurance policies and found that the replacements cost more and give less. Our seniors on Medicare who are finding that they're losing access to their doctors because those cuts are real. Now, some of you who own businesses and the folks who work at these businesses have told me that full-time employees are having to go to part-time jobs, or you've had to hold off on hiring altogether. We can and we must do better. And I'm running as a doctor who understands how to get our health care done better. Now, I'm a small businesswoman too, and I've heard your stories about the avalanche of taxes and mandates coming out of Washington. The other big bad law from 2010, Dodd-Frank, has made growing businesses way too much of an uphill climb. Our community bankers tell me that the regulators have tied them up in so much red tape that they can't make the loans and mortgages that we desperately need. Our energy prices are unnecessarily high. Your customers are struggling under the cost of living that keeps rising here in the Hudson Valley, and that means fewer sales for the businesses you represent. So I'm here to stop the crazy cycle of tax and spend and mandate, to bring Washington common sense and restraint in behalf of all of us. And And as a mom, I hear the stories about how Common Core has made education a nightmare for our students instead of a joy. We need to empower our communities to have the best schools and the best teachers, to train the best workers so that they can have great jobs and great futures here in the Hudson Valley. As a mom of 2 sons entering adulthood, I know how important that is. And that's what you're all about here in the Chamber, assuring that everybody who lives here will thrive no matter where they make their home, whatever their field of endeavor is, whatever their dreams may be. I'm running because I've been privileged to live the American dream, and I hope to use my knowledge and experience and dedication to help you fulfill your dreams and the dreams that you have for everyone who lives here, because I believe in you. I want to thank you for inviting me here today, and I look forward to hearing your questions. And thank you again, Congressman, for being here. Thank you.
Okay, the questions will be answered. Each candidate has 2 minutes to answer the question. They will remain at their places as they answer the questions, and at the wrap-up, we will ask them to come up to the podium and provide a closing statement. So the first question will go to Congressman Maloney, and it's pretty full. How will you go forward to finally achieve peace in the Middle East?
Give me about a week, Charlie, and I'll let.
It's a great joke, but I'm not. It is?
Well, listen, it's a very serious situation in the Middle East. I spent 8 days in Israel last summer, and I had the opportunity to meet with the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, with Shimon Peres, with Yair Lapid, with senior military and intelligence officials. We have a great ally in the state of Israel, and we need to support that ally. We share the same values, and when you look around the Middle East, it is one of the few countries that we can count on that really shares our values. And so we need to stand with Israel, and no country in the world would put up with missiles coming in to its territory, indiscriminately targeted at civilian areas. Period, full stop. We wouldn't put up with it, they shouldn't put up with it, and we need to stand with them. We all also understand that a permanent solution that addresses the real security needs of Israel also includes a 2-state solution where the Palestinians can have an independent homeland where there's economic prosperity and opportunity, and an alternative to the extremism and violence that has ravaged that region for decades. That's why it's very important as we move forward with a ceasefire that we start talking about real ideas to reconstruct Gaza in a way that brings hope to that region and not just more violence. Because over time, the situation for Israel is unsustainable. Each time the missiles get longer range, each time the missiles become more lethal, each time the opportunity to really wreak havoc becomes greater, not lesser. So this current cycle we're locked in of the Israelis going back in and addressing the security threat one time after another is not a sustainable solution. So it is in the best interest of Israel, of the United States, and of the Palestinian people that there be a permanent solution as well.
Thank you. Dr. Hayworth, how will you go forward to finally achieve peace in the Middle East?
Well, we have to be, as the United States of America, we together are the strength of this country because we are a free and vibrant people. We, as the United States of America, have to assure that we are the strongest and most reliable friend to our allies in the Middle East, including, yes, absolutely, the State of Israel, which is our staunchest friend. And I had the privilege of speaking with Prime Minister Netanyahu in the summer of 2011, and he explained that we face evil. It is hard for you here, good, sincere people who do your best, to understand the magnitude of the hatred and the wickedness that the enemies of freedom and the enemies of humanity are exerting in the Middle East. But of course we see through what ISIS is doing that we face genuine terror. So we have to be, as well as the most formidable friend, we have to be the most formidable opponent to our enemies. We have to be that force for good. So we need a military that is fully funded. We need to have the best intelligence forces and the best organized information gathering that we can so that we can pursue means that do not involve putting troops on the ground or putting lives at risk. We have far too many American lives at risk right now. We need to be the strongest economy in the world so that we have the resources to support initiatives like Iron Dome that are keeping our friends in Israel safe. And that is an Israeli-American joint endeavor. And we need to support fully our friends in Israel as they go forward. We need to make sure that they have a credible and strong negotiating partner in the United States so that we can be that force for good for all of us.
Thank you. Let's hold the applause. Let's hold the applause on each answer. You can applause for them at the close. Okay, Dr. Hayworth. Taxes and high costs of energy are prompting New Yorkers to leave and discouraging people from coming here to live or to do business. What are your plans to reverse these trends?
Well, it's definitely a terrible problem that we see every day in the Hudson Valley. People are leaving because their taxes and the cost of living are too high. With regard to taxes, we clearly need sensible tax reform. We need to even the playing field. Our small businesses, our working families, our middle class are on the hook for far too much of the bill because too many favors exist in the tax code for a lot of folks who have a lot of ability to marshal lobbyists in Washington. We need to have a voice for you in Washington, and I understand that as a small businesswoman and as a neighbor here in the Hudson Valley for 30 years. With regard to our energy policy, two-pronged approach. Number one, I, with the Chamber, whose endorsement I'm privileged to have, support fully, and all of the above energy policy. We need to develop our domestic resources. That's another force for good, actually, throughout the world, and that would put us in far better strength in the Middle East. If we develop our domestic energy supplies, the price of energy will go down. We are suffering in this Hudson Valley and in this county painfully from the bureaucratic actions as well of Washington, not only because we can't develop our domestic energy as we should, and I think we should retrieve our natural gas in Western New York as well, safely and with accountability to our communities, but FERC has pursued an action that I, as a member of the House of Representatives, sought to prevent by voting for the RAINS Act, which prevents our bureaucracies from imposing regulations that cost $50 million or more on our economy. I would not have allowed FERC from the get-go to impose that energy zone price increase as it did. And that is real relief, and I will fight for that again. I have fought for it before. I am ready to fight for it again.
Thank you. Taxes and high costs of energy are prompting New Yorkers to leave and discouraging people from coming here to live or to do business. What are your plans to reverse those trends?
Well, it's a very important question. The number one thing we need to do for business is keep your taxes low, keep your energy costs low, keep the cost of healthcare down. On the energy issue, I want to tell you this has been my proudest day in Congress, was when Congressman Chris Gibson and I, a Republican, teamed up on the floor of the House of Representatives and passed legislation to stop this FERC energy rate hike in its tracks. Not in general, not with some overarching bill, this docket number specifically. And we went up against people in our own party to do it. They said you can't get it done. They said it's gonna create havoc. And he and I linked arms on the floor of the House and we said, this is too important. It is $250 million a year for folks in the Hudson Valley. It's $10 million for IBM. Think of, and Marcus Molinaro will tell you, it's $137,000 in cost for customers right here locally. We've got to stop this thing, and we've been partnering with our friends at Central Hudson to do this. Denise, I know Steve Land's here, Jim Larita's here. Thank you for the work you've done on this. This has been an all-hands-on-deck effort, across party lines, cooperating with people, because that's what works. And we have been supporting the local folks, and we have been in action on this. I've spoken to Senator Schumer about it personally. He's working on this in the Senate. We have passed a bill in the House of Representatives. That is more than anyone has ever done on this thing. It's more than anyone has ever done on any FERC energy capacity zone. It has never been done before. And so for the lawyers who are in court right now with our support arguing to stop it, they've got an act of the United States House of Representatives that I wrote and that I partnered with Chris Gibson to pass that is on their side. We are going to stop this thing, and what ought to happen is FERC ought to vacate the order right now and roll it back and start talking to people locally. Start talking to people locally because we have real transmission solutions. We have real generation solutions. This is a solution in search of a problem that's going to hurt folks after the worst winter in a generation, when we are just getting going on an economic recovery, and this is going to hurt it. So I am going to stay on this, and we have gotten real results, and I am going to keep on it, working across the aisle until we win an absolute victory and stop this thing.